All right, so now I'm just making any final decisions about my overall creature. And I'm cleaning up little bits that were left. I've realized the silhouette can be improved on this side a little bit because the leg kind of comes straight down here, and I want to suggest that with this foot because I actually didn't composite in anything. I'm just playing with the overall shape. So I think I want to kind of cut that out and have it be kind of a loop and then have it go more or less down like that. Then I'll refine the edge. And I'll cut out from it, hitting delete a few times. And then, because that's on my combined layer, then I need to take that same selection from my texture overlay, delete that out a few times so that they stack on each other. And then I can even go back to that body layer and delete it out from there. So that when it all comes together, it's what I want. Same thing with this little overlap there. I want to make sure that's erased at 100%. Of all the layers I want showing. That's looking better. Let's see. Work with that, keep working with that edge a little bit. The silhouette matters, especially when we put it into new environments. So I'm going to delete it from all those different layers that use it. Okay, and then if I want to, I can make a new clone stamp layer just for a little touch up on that back leg, just to review this skill. And I can, at a very low opacity, I'm only at opacity 12, a little bit of that texture and color. And do the ankle and the foot over here. And then really burn that down. As well. So basically getting rid of that blue color. Trying to get something that looks more like the same kind of foot. Just using clone stamp. Just using textures and lighting. Make something a little bit more believable. And now I can use the burn tool. On the clone stamp itself to adjust those tones. So clone stamp's incredibly versatile and helpful here. But you see how I got soft around it? If I zoom in. So as I clone stamp, I can go to more opacity now that I'm getting more refined. Whoops. Not bigger, but smaller. And I can replace some of these really distracting bubbles. With textures that make more sense. You can even put in a toe. If I do this right. I'm building from other toes that are already there. There we go, like that. And now, I just want to make sure I cut it cleanly. So as I get more and more kind of detailed, I go higher and higher, up to about 70. So anywhere between like 15 and 70, I'll use the clone stamp. 100 looks too copy-pasted. All right, so then I kind of softened it up around the edges so that I needed to cut it out. And that made a huge difference there. You see, I can also burn the clone stamping wherever it's getting too bright. Get those shadows to come down. And that's looking more believable. Maybe on the bottom side now I can burn what's there. And then just one quick, just to finish it off, looking at everything. If I really like this and like what I've added, so I'll just burn the shadows quickly. Don't want to push it too far though. Maybe burn what's behind it. Get a little bit of those water spots out of there, since they're not on the other foot. There, that's looking better. And then I can always dodge if I need to brighten something up, as long as there's still visual content there. But I'm always using dodge and burn at very low exposures, which is like a low opacity. Okay, now I can merge those two layers together, because that's my combined creature layer. And then on that layer, I might see little things that need refining, like the tiniest 100% opaque erasing right here. Clean that up. And then I select all the empty space around my merged combined layer. I'm going to hit just refine edge once, just to give me a little bit around them, just to even out all these edges, and in case there's any kind of floating debris, this will reveal it. Hit delete, and now I go to my overlay layer here. Turn this off again. Delete from that, and then lastly, from this component layer, and I guess from that rhino's foot layer, I need to find that. There it is. And delete from that. So everything matches, so they're all very useful components to me later on. And then all of my edges should be to my liking. All the transitions should feel believable. If there's ever anything that doesn't kind of work, I can take my overlay layer and I can burn that, or dodge it, or erase from it directly. So I think I'll erase a little bit. this shadow underneath the horns just because it was getting a little too bright. I like the color content of it, but it was brightening up in a weird way. I like the other things it's doing. Yeah, and I think that will finish it off. Okay, so now all important. I only have this a little bit taller so that it holds my sketch within. But at this point, to save space, I'm going to move my sketch up. So I'm going to rename it from the background layer, maybe call it my sketch layer. Use the move tool, move it up so it's behind. And then I can crop a little bit more to save space. Any pixel you don't need is wasted processing. All right. Now I'm going to turn off the backgrounds. So it's just floating on its own. Say File, Save. This will be my finished PSD file with nothing behind. And then to save it to upload, I say File, Save As. I keep the same name, my name, Assignment 2, Fantasy Creature. Save it to the desktop, navigate with Command D, and I'm going to save as a PNG file format with the background turned off. So it's just a floating creature, head to toe. At a very high resolution. So it should fit around 11 by 17 inches at 350 pixels per inch. Photoshop takes a while saving PNGs, but when they're saved, if you open them up, they're online file formats, but they support transparency. So the difference here is there's no background behind it. If I were to put this on a black website, the background would be black. But in preview, it just gives you this kind of 20 to 30% gray. And it really helps you see all your edges. So there's my background foot, my foreground foot, flippers, all of that. And so think of it as a sticker. Once we have that PNG, not only will we be able to upload it to PhotoBucket, we'll be able to put it into our landscape without having to delete any of the background around it. It will just fit in. Okay, so now I can close my Photoshop file. And now I go back to my documents and I'm going to open up my fantasy landscape, assignment 1. Open up my Photoshop file for my fantasy landscape. Go to the very top layer just to see if my PNG is what I need it to be, the right resolution. Go to my very top layer. So this will be even on top of all the texture fills and things. And I just drag and drop my PNG element on, my creature. And it should be plenty big. There he is. Set him down. I'm not even going to resize him at this point, though he's a smart layer. And then I can just move him down through the layers, down through the atmosphere, and behind the foreground elements. And he's sitting in there pretty comfortably. But of course, to actually do assignment 3, we'll work with adding shadows and just doing a lot. I'm thinking maybe he'll fit nicely there. But that's the beauty of a PNG element. It's like a sticker.